My name's Grady, the guy from that one game you haven't played, and I'm going to be your instructor for this tutorial series. If this is all new to you, then you can start watching from here. Otherwise, you can skip to the timestamp you need. If you have questions or need specialized help, you can ask me directly through my Discord. I only ask that you please behave patiently and respectfully. Thank you. Now, let's get started. Before we even talk about installing software, you need to know how to record your Team Fortress games first. Let's say you're playing in casual and you want to record a short clip using a free camera. Normally, you do this by pressing F6 to get the replay. But, as we all know, Valve servers no longer support replays. So what do? Well, you could give up and cry about it, or you could generate what's called a demo file. A demo file is a captured recording of your TF2 match that you can play back at a later time. It's not just a video recording. It's a file that actually reruns the exact match you just played. You can record this in any server you play on. Yes, casual servers, community servers, whatever you can play on, you can generate a demo file for. Afterwards, you would use Lawena and HLAE to view your demo files with a free camera. It's the only way to get Freecam. So how do you record demo files? Well, the easiest way is to auto-enable it. On the main menu, come down to Advanced Options, scroll near the bottom here to Demo Support, go to Recording Mode, and here choose Auto Record All Matches. I like to store my demo files in a folder called Demos for organization. Then press OK to save your changes. Now, demo files will automatically start recording every time you play a game. To demonstrate, let's join a server. Join a team. And once you spawn, you'll hear this noise. This lets you know that a demo has started recording. You should note that it might feel weird to move around at first. To fix this, jump and crouch in the air a few times, and it should return to normal. In fact, you should always do that once you start a demo, otherwise your player model might not act right in the recording. Once you leave the server, the demo will automatically complete its generation. Even if your game crashes, it'll still work. Afterwards, you can find your file in your demos folder, which can be found in your TF folder. So here's the demos folder, sort by latest, and looking at the date, your most recent file should be at the very top. You can ignore this other file that comes with it. Now what I like to do is to take this demo file and put it in a separate special folder that contains all the demos I want to work with later on. So back in the TF folder, I'm going to make a new folder called 0_replays or whatever, so that the folder appears at the very top when sorted by name. Then I copy and paste the demo file in there. Or just drag and drop it. And then give the file a relevant name. Like so. Maybe put in its own folder. It's up to you, but make sure you don't put any spaces in your file names or folders. I'll explain why later. Also, I strongly recommend backing up your data from time to time. There isn't much that hurts more than losing all your demos because your disk drive fails. In addition, if you ever need to reinstall TF2 for whatever reason, make sure to back your data up before reinstalling, because your demos could be lost. Recording demo files doesn't only have to be automatic. You can also manually record and stop demos with the record and stop command in console. You'll need to include the demos folder and your chosen file name. If you forget to include the demos part, the file would end up in the TF folder. And, of course, you can only record one demo file at a time. There's also alternative commands as well, if you're interested. These demo support commands do the same thing, but with a few more features. DS Record automatically names your demo for you with a timestamp. Look familiar? That's right. The automatic demos we enabled earlier uses this demo support command, so that has these features. DS stop will stop the demo, but you can just use the stop command. Same thing. DS mark lets you bookmark specific moments in the demo to find later. The bookmarks can be found in a text file called events in your demos folder. This may seem like a no-brainer to use, but personally, I've gotten more mileage out of dividing my demos into smaller files by restarting recordings after every clip. There's more ways to streamline the process, such as auto-deletion, but I'll cover that another time. Lastly, you should know that your own voice chat won't be heard in demo files. If you want yourself to be heard, enable voice loopback. The problem is you're going to hear yourself while you're playing, so be aware. Now, let's try out some commands. To open console, enable this option in your options menu. Then, press the tilde key on the top left of your keyboard. For international keyboards, your console key should be in the same position. But some people, especially from Europe, have said that the key does not work on the main menu, but it does while in a server. So for those people, rebinding the console key to F9 should fix this. You might need to press Fn and F9 together if F9 alone doesn't work right. Please don't try other keys because most others are taken and you might mess up your controls. Right, now join a server. The automatic recording will start. We can stop that with the stop command. Then we can manually start a new recording with the record command.
4, 3, 2, 1. Control point enabled.
If you want, you can stop this recording too. Leaving the server will do the same. Your demos will all be found in the same place. That's about it. However you approach recording demos is up to you. It could be as simple as just relying on automatic recording alone. Whatever you decide, just understand that you never want to get caught not recording a demo file when something good happens. That's a big no-no. So get into the habit of always having a demo file recording at all times. Couple more things you should know about. These demo files are what we call POV demos. They only record from your point of view. This is not the same as what you normally get in replays. Replays are STV demos, which stands for Source TV. Those are the ones that allow you to see other people's perspectives and have Freecam built in. They're pretty much better in every way, but you can't make these yourself. Only the server itself can offer them. POV is all you got, and unfortunately, POV demos have some limitations. The first is limited distance. You can't see everyone's model at all times. They might disappear if they're beyond a certain distance, depending where you are. The same goes for some map props in indoor areas. They might disappear for the same reason. Another drawback is that you can only see your own first-person perspective, nobody else's. If you wanted to record the POV of somebody else, you can't do it, unless if you spectate them in first person, or if they record their own POV demo and send it to you. This next issue is more a byproduct of HLAE, but you can hear the noises you make, no matter where you go with the free camera. Usually it's tolerable enough to ignore when making videos, but if there's a sound or voice line you really don't want playing, there are ways to turn off specific sounds, which I'll cover another time. Other local effects persist on the Freecam as well, such as fire, Girardi, and Ubercharge. Unfortunately, I don't know a fix for this. But probably the biggest issue is that POV demos tend to jitter around a little bit. It can get laggy, and there's actually various kinds of lag. The first is the lag that affects all the players in the demo, even the free camera as it's moving. People will kind of stall in the air for a split second, or jump back and forth for a couple frames. Personally, I try to reduce this problem by removing the laggy frames during video editing. The second is the lag from your own player model. You'll notice this immediately when you take a look at yourself. Your perspective can be quite choppy compared to when you were playing the game live, especially when moving at high speeds. So if recording in first person is your thing, be aware that recording in-game live will always be much smoother. But for our purposes though, since we're primarily using the free camera, usually the lag is okay enough to work with because it's harder to notice at a distance. But for some unlucky people, the lag gets so bad that the whole player's just stuttering beyond belief. If this is happening to you, I'm sorry, but this is a whole nother problem. I've been trying really hard to figure out a one-size-fits-all solution to this, but no matter which 10-year-old post I dig up, there is never a working solution proposed by anyone. I've seen a whole range of potential fixes to this, but I have never seen anyone actually confirm that any of these worked. So please, if anyone has found a way to fix this problem, or if you know anyone that's an expert on this kind of stuff, please help us out on this. Many people out there still struggle with laggy demos, and it would be a godsend to figure this out once and for all. Anyways, that's all I got for demos. Let's go ahead and actually install what you need to get started. So, assuming you know how to record demo files, let's learn how to get that coveted third-person free camera. You're not going to be using the replay feature. There's going to be separate software you need to install, so you can close out of the game. Alright, let's take it from the top. Number 1, Lawena and Java. They work as a pair, but let's focus on the winner first. In the description, find and click the link labeled Lawena, and download the first .zip file you see. Now we're going to extract that file. Just leave the default here so it stays in downloads. Now you can move this folder wherever you like, or just keep it in downloads. Just remember where you put it. I'll move it to my desktop. Now for Java. You might already have this, so let's check to see by opening a terminal, then typing the word Java and pressing enter. If you see a bunch of commands like this, then you've got it. You're all set. But if you see this message instead, you're gonna need to download it. Don't use the link from this page. It's outdated. Instead, there's another link in the description labeled Java. Click that one and download it from there. Then go ahead and run the installer. That's all for that one. Number 2, HLAE, or Half-Life Advanced Effects. In the description, click the HLAE link and download the first .zip file you see. Not the one named Setup, just the first one. And again, you're going to need to extract the file. You can leave the default again so it stays in downloads. Bunch of stuff here. So this time we're going to need to go back up into the downloads folder. And now you can move this HLAE folder wherever you like. And finally, number 3, OBS. Now, it's true that Lawena has its own recording capabilities with high-quality image exporting and stuff like that, but we're going to use OBS instead, because that's way easier. So, in the description, click the OBS link and download the software. Then you can run the installer. Just a heads up though, this video isn't going to teach you how to use OBS, because there's already plenty of great tutorials out there for it. Just look those up, and you'll be golden. Actually, for video editing software, you can use whatever you like. I've heard people recommend DaVinci Resolve. It's free, and you don't have to put in your personal information when signing up. Just put in random junk, and it should still work. Again, you'll have to look up other tutorials to learn how to use it. Anyways, congrats! That's everything you need. Now, let's get you set up on your machine. Alright, so this is the part where things can go wrong. So pay close attention and try to follow along with what I'm saying as best you can. First, I need to explain how you launch the software. This is important to understand. If you were to run TF2 normally, you'd open Steam and launch TF2 directly from there, right? We all know that. But if you want to use Lawena and HLAE, it's different. For that, you need to have Steam open on the side, then you need to have Lawena open, then you tell Lawena where HLAE is, and then finally you launch TF2 through Lawena. So everything's handled through here, not Steam. Afterwards, you can use OBS to capture the footage you made. That might all sound confusing, but the important things to remember is that you should not launch TF2 through Steam, and you should not mess with anything in the HLAE folder, okay? Don't even touch it. It's mostly Lawena that you'll be interacting with. Now at this point, you might be asking why? Like, what's up with this strange new way to launch the game? And to that, I say HLAE is technically a hack, so this is just the way it works. But don't worry, you won't get in trouble, because thankfully Lawena will always launch with HLAE in insecure mode. This mode makes it so that you cannot join back protected servers, so you'll be completely safe. And hey, if it makes you feel any better, I've been using this software on my own account for many years at this point, and I've had no problems. If you're still paranoid about it, and I don't blame you, you could use a different Steam account or go into offline mode while you're using it. Plenty of therapeutic options out there, but at the end of the day, you'll be just fine. Now, with that out of the way, let's start setting up Lawena. To open Lawena, go to the place where you extracted it, remember? Yeah, open that, and you're going to be running the file named Lawena. Though, while we're here, I like to make a shortcut to this and place that on my desktop. But yeah, you'll be opening Lawena through that file. It'll ask you for admin privileges. Say yes to that. Okay, now it's going to start asking you for a couple things. You're either going to see this or this. Most people will only see the movie one, but if it asks for the TF folder, it should be somewhere here, assuming you have the game installed. So for only those people, navigate to that and select your TF folder. Now it should ask you to locate a movie folder. Before we move on though, it's actually very convenient to pin your TF folder to your quick access menu. So in your File Explorer, navigate to your TF folder and pin that to the quick access menu. Make sure to click the folder once so it's highlighted, then right-click it so the option comes up. Anyways, moving on to the movie folder. The movie folder is for Lawena's recording feature. It's where it'll export and store image files. But as I said before, we're using OBS instead, so you can just choose a dummy folder. So what I'm going to do is go into the TF folder and create a new dummy folder called TGA and choose that one. I called it TGA because that's a file format Lawena exports. We won't be using this, but if you ever decide to use this feature, just refer to this folder. Okay, now, if you messed up either of those two steps, you can fix it by coming up to File, then clicking Change TF2 folder or Change Movie folder. Anyways, here's the Lawena menu. Don't be scared, it won't bite. I'll explain everything in a second. But first things first, let's hook up HLAE to Lawena. Click here on Advanced, come down to Launch Mode and click Launch using HLAE with Insecure. Then go back to Advanced, Launch Mode, and click on Select HLAE Executable. Now, find where you extracted your HLAE folder, and you should see a file called HLAE. It should look like this, with this icon. Select that and you're good. Next, let's set your launch options. Go to Advanced and click Custom Launch Options. Now, if you play Team Fortress using full screen, which I would think is the vast majority of you, then I suggest you add dash full screen. Otherwise, it's going to be in window mode. I also like to add an extra dash insecure here as well, just for good measure, because I'm paranoid like that, you know? Also, due to recent updates, you now need to add dash force 32-bit as well. This is mandatory, or else launching with HLAE just stops it from working instantly. Now, you can press OK to save your changes. Next up, let's go to Advanced and click Custom Settings. This is where you can set your binding controls and default values. Now, If you look in the description, I've gone and prepared a customized set of controls just for you. It's designed for beginners, and I highly recommend you use them because I'm going to be referencing those controls for the rest of the series. It's great because it allows you to use keys instead of memorizing a bunch of commands. Should be a standard, really. Now, there's two versions you'll find. One for those with keyboard numpads, and the other for those who don't. I'm assuming most of you have a numpad on your keyboard. If you don't, it's not a deal breaker. You can still use the software no problem, but I'll be verbally referring to the numpad version of the controls for the series. So to help those without numpads out, I'll show your corresponding key alongside whatever I'm saying on the screen. If you have an international keyboard, like one from Sweden, where the 0 and equals key are the same, then you'll need a slightly different layout. Check the description to find your corresponding keyboard's custom settings. But yeah, whichever version you're going to use, just copy the entire thing and put it into this window. And don't worry, we'll be going over all the controls in the next part. If you've got different settings that you prefer, that's completely fine, but it's going to be on you to understand which earbuds I'm referring to. You can change your settings by taking a look at the key names here. One last thing. If you want to use Lawena's recording feature instead of OBS, make sure to remove this line, because you need the P key to use it. Alright, now you can press OK to save. Now, this next step is really important. See, what happened was that the 64-bit TF2 update changed the name of the TF2 executable. We need to change it back, or else none of this will work. So in your File Explorer, navigate to your TF folder. Now click into the folder right before that. It should be called Team Fortress 2. Now you should see two files named TF and TF_Win64. You need to change the TF file to be named HL2. This will allow Lawena to work properly. And don't worry, this change won't affect your normal game because it uses the 64-bit one. Alright, we're nearly there. All that's left is to explain the interface. A lot of what's going on here is pretty self-explanatory, such as the resolution, which we'll set to 1080, standard HD res on YouTube. You can mess around with the HUD too, but we'll usually be hiding the HUD, so it doesn't matter. I'll choose kill feeds only. Apparently you can change the skybox if you'd like to do that for whatever reason, but I like how the sky normally looks, so I never change this. View models refer to your hands and weapon that you see in first person, and this is the field of view for it. Now these two, the frame output and FPS, these refer to Lawena's recording feature. This is for people who want super high image quality, or perhaps if you can't get good enough frames per second through OBS. If you want to learn how that works, there's tutorials out there, but here we'll be using OBS, so it doesn't matter. DX level set to DirectX version. It's a graphics thing. It makes the game look better or worse. Just stay in the 90s and it should look like normal TF2. The 80s will look more downgraded. For these additional settings, again, they're all self-explanatory. Some of these help make it so that your demos are like replays. For example, you can disable hit sounds and combat text. If you're going to be working with your HUD, you might want to mess around with these. And here, you can manage the motion blur. Typically, I turn this off, but it's your choice. If you decide to use it though, be aware that it might flicker around the edges of the screen if you're moving the camera. So yeah, be careful with that. Finally, this custom resource panel allows you to add custom folder stuff to Lawena. So you could add a custom HUD or remove specific sounds or add skins, stuff like that. These would be stored either within TF2's custom folder or within Lawena's custom folder. If you've got some custom files, you might see some extra things show up here, but you can leave them unchecked for now. So what happens when you launch TF2 through Lawena is that it will load these resources temporarily over your regular TF2 stuff. Then when you close TF2, it'll restore all your regular files. Pretty neat, right? By the way, if Lawena ever crashes before it has the chance to restore your files, just relaunch and reclose Lawena again, and it'll work. Anyways, we won't be messing with this for now. It'll be covered another time. Okay, we're finally done. Now for the moment of truth. Let's see if everything works on the first try. Before you launch, just know that you are going to see a bunch of errors pop up. Don't panic, that's normal. So first confirm that Steam's open in the background, then go ahead and press the Start Team Fortress 2 button. Okay, now you should hear some errors. All we need to do is find them and close them. Otherwise, the game may not load. Hold down Alt, then press Tab repeatedly till you find the errors. Then just close them. Now you can try to click back into the game, once it loads at least. And if all went well, ta-da! It worked! Well, I'm assuming it worked for you, hopefully. You should see some text pop up about Lawena controls in the console, but you can ignore it because our controls will be different. Also, make sure that HLAE is active by typing MIRV MERV into console. If you see commands pop up, you're good to go. If you see nothing, make sure to check your launch mode is set to launching with HLAE and that you selected the right executable. If everything worked for you, congrats, you're ready to move on. If something went wrong, make sure you followed every step exactly. Otherwise, there might be certain problems specific to your machine that I might have missed. In that case, you can try searching online for solutions or asking in the Discord to see if anyone knows how to fix it. If you do find the solution to your problem, you should share it with everyone. You know, help feature beginners. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Helping others is a good thing, right? So yeah, you can share solutions by leaving a comment down below or letting us know in the Discord. Okay, assuming you have everything installed and running properly, we can move on to learning the controls. First up is understanding how to navigate your demos. You can bring up and close the Demo UI window by pressing Shift and F2 or by typing Demo UI into the console. This is the window you'll be using to work with all your demo files. Note that this tool is available within the actual game itself. You don't need HLAE for this. The only buttons you need to concern yourself with right now are these. We'll cover them as we go along. The Load button is what you'll use to find and open your demo files. If you click it, you can navigate the folders to find your desired demo file. Double-click to go into a folder, and press this button to go out of the folder. It'll start you on the TF folder, so we can come here to our Replace folder and find our demo file. Then we can select it and open it, or just double-click it and it should start playing. If it doesn't work, there's a lot of possible reasons, but the most common problem is that one of your folder or demo file names has spaces in it. You can't have spaces in any folder or file path that's inside your TF folder. Another cause is that your demos are outside your TF folder, like on your desktop or something. That's not allowed. They need to be inside the TF folder. If that's not it, then it could be that your demo file was created a long time ago. In that case, you'll need to set up a specific solution that I'll cover in a later video. I'll leave a link to it in the description. If none of those were your problem, try to Google what shows up in your console for a fix, or ask around for help. Anyways, let's open up this demo file. If it loads successfully, your demo should start playing. Here's where you can play around with the controls. Press the Pause and Resume button to pause and resume the playback. You can adjust the speed of the playback by adjusting this timescale slider. The Stop button will take you back to the main menu. Demo files use timestamps called ticks to mark each frame within the playback. This tick display shows you which frame you're on and how many total ticks there are in the entire demo. You can jump to a specific tick within the demo by entering a number in this box and pressing the Go To button. It'll fast forward to around that frame. Now here's the thing about demo files. You cannot directly go backwards in time. You can only go forwards. If you try to go to a tick that's before your current one, it will restart the entire demo and fast forward to your desired tick. Don't ask me why it does this. This is just something you're going to have to get used to, as painful as it is. That's why it's helpful to have smaller files, so these fast forwards don't take so long. Anyways, that's about all you need to know for the Demo UI window. Now for the interesting part, the HLAE controls. Drum roll, please. Presenting your very own reference sheet. It has pretty much all the controls and commands you'll need to work with the free camera. It's based on the custom settings I recommended you pasting in earlier. There are two versions of this reference sheet, one for keyboards that have a numpad and one for those who don't. I'll have the download links for these images in the description, including ones for international keyboards. As a reminder, I'll be verbally referring to the numpad version of the controls for the series, but for those without a numpad, I'll show your corresponding key on the bottom right of the screen. Each keybind shows the corresponding command with a description of what it does. It's also got some useful commands that aren't binded. You have to type those ones. So, I'll be talking about all these in detail, but I understand that this is a lot to take in as a beginner. So, for those who are new, I recommend still watching this part just to get some exposure, but I'll also give you this, a more simplified version of the reference sheet, designed for newbies who are just starting out. You can use any sheet you want to follow along with the examples in the next part. And again, the download links for these images are in the description. Okay, you ready? Let's walk through this. The equals key lets you pause and resume the demo. Of course, you can also use the pause resume button on the demo UI menu, but this key is convenient to have. Numbers 1 through 4 will speed up or slow down the demo. It's the same as the timescale slider on the demo UI menu. So down here, you can see that the second key is set to 1. That's a normal speed, 100%. The first key is 0.1 or 10%. That's slow motion. The third key is 200%, 2 times as fast, and the fourth key is 6 times as fast. You can adjust these if you want in the custom settings. So like you just come down here and change this value to 0.2 if you want 20% speed instead of 10. The backspace key puts you into the free camera mode. This is pretty much what you're after for replays, kindly provided by the HLAE software. You can press the escape key to get out of Freecam mode. Now all these keys over here, WASD, RF, CX, these all let you move the camera when you're in Freecam mode. You'll get a feel for them once you try them out. I would avoid using the Z and X keys though, because generally you want to keep your camera level with the ground. The plus and minus keys will increase and decrease your movement speed on both your mouse and your keyboard. Every plus will double the speed, and every minus will cut it in half. Sometimes you'll want to adjust these speeds individually, like if the mouse is way slower than the keyboard and you want to speed up the mouse only. In that case, you got to use these commands for the mouse and keyboard respectively. Merv input config msense or ksense, and then a value. You can test out a bunch of values in console to see which feels best for you. You can also check what your current sensitivities are by typing the command without the number. Something like that. If you change those values, you should also change them in your custom settings so that they become the default. The H key will turn your HUD on and off. Pretty straightforward. The multiply key on your numpad and the scroll wheel on your mouse will both turn on third-person mode. You're going to need this so you can see your own character model. If you want to go back to first person, type the command first person into console. The slash key on your numpad will turn on ragdolls. Usually they'll be on by default, but sometimes they won't, so you can use this key to fix it. If you don't like ragdolls, due to lack of having a soul, then the command to turn them off is rags off. The 5 key on your numpad resets the camera and the moving speed. This is great for changing your zoom back to normal and getting rid of any twisting or tilting you may have accidentally put into your camera. So if you ever accidentally press Z or X, this reset key is your friend. The 7 and 1 keys on your numpad allow you to zoom in and zoom out. They change the field of view, or FOV, of your camera. Again, you can reset the camera back to your default FOV by pressing the 5 key on your numpad. If you want to set the exact values of your FOV, use the command merv input FOV and then the value. The most common values are 90 or 75. I personally play at 90, so my FOV defaults to that value. I like how that looks better, usually, but you're free to use whatever looks best to you. You can check your current FOV by just typing merv input FOV without any number. Okay, we're halfway there. Those were the basic controls. Now, let's move on to the Campath controls. But first, what is a Campath? Well, it's best to just show you. This is a Campath. This is the camera following that Campath, and this is the resulting camera shot. Make sense? A Campath is just the path your camera follows. Your job is to design this path. It's a bit different from normal replays, right? Like, why do we even need this Campath? Can't I just go into Freecam mode and record directly from here? What if I only need a camera shot that stays still? I'll just go into the spot I want, press play, and record it, right? And to that, I say, yes, you can do that in some cases. But there's some problems with this. The biggest one is that you can lose your position if you accidentally move your mouse or if your game crashes. It's best to have a camera position set in stone so you won't run into unforeseen problems, and you'll have the ability to perform other actions while the demo is playing if needed. Another issue is that if you want a moving camera shot, the free camera is very rough and jerky. It's nothing like how it feels in the traditional replay feature, where it's a lot smoother. You'd be recording a jittery camera, and that usually won't look very good. Well, sometimes you can get away with it, for simple cases, if you got a steady hand. But the point is, Campaths fix both these problems, because you can draw them, save them, and fine-tune them. And we'll be covering how with examples in the next part. But for now, let's introduce the Campath controls. The 0 key adds a point to your Campath. You'll need at least 4 separate points through time to render a path. Otherwise, your Campath won't work. The command merv Campath clear deletes all your Campath points, but be careful because there's no undo button. That makes this command dangerous, which is why it's not binded, and you should type it out only if you're absolutely sure you want to use it. There's several commands you'll have to type out manually, and this is one of them. Merv Campath remove deletes a single Campath point. You can specify which point you want to delete by providing the ID number of the Campath point. The numbers start from 0, and each new point goes up by 1 over time. Merv Campath print will print all the information about your Campath points into the console. It's got some labels and stuff, but it's still a bit confusing to work with. So instead, I recommend you using the save feature if you want to read this information, which I'll talk about next. Merv Campath save and load allow you to save and load your Campath files. This is a crucial feature that you'll need to get familiar with if you value the importance of saving your work. And given that there's no undo feature, that makes this all the more useful. I mean, sure, if you're doing very quick camera work that's easy to do, you can skip the saving. But if you're doing a complicated path that takes like hours to get right, then you need to save your work. I recommend you store your Campaths in a separate folder called Campath within your TF folder. Yeah, no, go on. You can make it right now. Right, so if you did that, your file path should look something like this. And just like with demos, do not put spaces in your file names, otherwise it won't work. If you forget to include the TF/Campath part, the file would end up in the Team Fortress 2 folder, which is one folder above TF. Your saved Campath files can be opened in a text editor like Notepad, and I find it a lot easier to work with compared to the print command since you can directly edit them. But that's a topic for another video, so moving on. The J and K keys allow you to show and hide your created Campath. It'll draw it on the screen. They're great for visualizing the exact behavior of a Campath, plus they show the ID numbers. Though, if you ever see something like this, just press K to fix it. Sometimes it bugs out like that. The semicolon key makes the camera actually follow your Campath so you can see how it looks. Otherwise, nothing would happen. Normally, you'd need to press this at least once to enable your Campath to actually start working. But if you're using my custom settings, you don't got to worry about that because it's enabled by default. To turn it off, press the apostrophe key. For those who aren't using my settings, it's a common mistake to forget to enable this. So if your camera isn't working, make sure that your Campath is enabled, or that you have at least 4 points. Next up is the demo go-to-tick command. This one is a must-know command because it's the only way to rewind your demo while holding your camera position. Try doing that with the demo UI window. It won't work because you can't click the go-to button. I'll be showing how useful this command is in the next part. Also, don't forget these extra numbers, 0 and 1 here. It makes it so that it pauses when you arrive at your tick, so put those in. And last but not least, the command merv cmd add third person. Merv cmd lets you output other commands at any tick mark you want. It's pretty powerful if you think about it. You can type just merv cmd alone to see all the subcommands available. But merv cmd add third person will output a third person command at the tick you're currently on. You can actually do this with the edit button on the demo UI menu. I included this command because it solves a specific problem that happens all the time. You see, every time you taunt, your model will be forced back into first person. Nothing will stop that. The only thing you can do is go back into third person as fast as you can. The best way to do this is by automating a third person command to fire right after the taunt ends. And this command is the way to do it. Alternatively, you can spam the scroll wheel on your mouse to quickly go back into third person. We'll cover all this in the examples. Wow, and there you have it. All the controls and commands you'll be using to start out. Again, I don't expect you to memorize all this. The time where you'll actually start learning is in the examples. Oh, and here's the simplified version if you like. Feel free to reference any sheet as you're getting the hang of the controls. Now that all that's out of the way, we can finally move on to the fun stuff. Creating your very first Campath. Okay, time to get your hands dirty. We'll be doing several examples, split up between different videos. This video will have the first one. The rest will be linked in the description. Hopefully you've got some spare demos to follow along with. If you happen to already have experience with some of these, I'd actually recommend you still take a look at them, because you might learn a new method that speeds up your workflow. Likewise, if anyone's got any better strategies than what they see here, you should share them with the rest of us in the comments, if you don't mind. Pretty please. Also, as a reminder, the keybinds I'll be using are based off my custom settings template I recommended using back in part 3. Note that I'll be verbally referring to the numpad version of the controls, but the corresponding keys for both versions will show up on the screen. International keyboards will have to refer to their respective reference sheets for their controls. If you've got your own set of controls, that's completely fine, but you're going to have to figure out which binds I'm referring to. So to help you out, I'll be showing the corresponding command next to the keys as I'm using them. Also, if you're a numpad user, note that you need numlock enabled for your numpad keys to work. So if they're not working, just hit your numlock key once. Okay, you ready? All right, let's start with something easy, the non-moving camera shot. This is probably the type of shot you'll end up using the most in your videos. We'll take it from the very beginning. So here at the Lawena menu, these will be the settings I'll be using for all the examples. Let's go ahead and launch the game. Once you hear those errors pop up, hold Alt and press Tab repeatedly to find and close the errors. Then you can click back into the game. On the main menu, you can quickly confirm that HLAE is running by typing merv into console. Make sure all the commands pop up. Now let's choose a demo to play. We can bring up the Demo UI menu by pressing Shift and F2 or typing Demo UI into the console. Then use the Load button to browse for the demo file you want. In my case, the file is named TK-Heavy01 because this is going to be a talk kill clip as the heavy. Go ahead and click to open it. Alright, so once it's loaded, we can play it back at high speeds till we find the part we want. But in this case, I already know the clip is near the end of the demo, so I'll use the Go To button and skip to tick number, let's say, 15,000. Okay, let's speed it up a tad to find a top kill. And there it is, somewhere around 16,500. So we'll go rewind a bit to 16,000 so we can work with the clip in its entirety. Alright, so this point in time will mark the beginning of our clip. Now, we can play around with the free camera. First, make sure to close the Demo UI window or else your keybinds won't work. Now press backspace on your keyboard and use W, A, S, D, and R, F to move around. There's also C and X, but you're going to want to keep your camera level with the ground. Pressing 5 on your numpad will reset your camera. You can also press the escape key, which will exit the Freecam, but of course, be careful not to hit this while you're lining up important shots. Now here, you can still see your spooky hands floating around, right? That's because you're still in first person. So to enter third person, you can either press the multiply key on your numpad or spin the scroll wheel on your mouse. And now you'll see your player model in its entirety. Also, one more thing. The kill feed is still up there on the top right since the HUD is visible. We can turn this on and off by pressing H. Now we're ready to start setting up our camera shot. So we know the top kill is going to be around here, right? We could potentially guess the perfect spot from here and just start recording, but that's a hard thing to pull off. So instead, let's do it the smart way. Let's play this clip until we find a good point to line up our camera so we don't need to guess. I want to see the action so that I can frame it properly. Okay, so this looks like a great point in time to position the camera. Take your Freecam and use the plus and minus keys to adjust your cam speed so you can refine your position. I often get to very low speeds here. And, while you're doing this, sorry, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, but use your best judgment to put the camera in a reasonable spot that fits the action comfortably within the camera frame. Don't be going way out here where I can hardly see what's going on, or, way too close or like off-centered where you got all this empty space that doesn't or something silly. No, just find an angle that does a good job at capturing everything you'd like the viewer to see. Generally, you'd like it at a comfortable distance, a reasonable height. Don't tilt your camera around, keep it level. Oftentimes you'd want the action of interest to be centered on your screen, though not always, admittedly. There's no concrete rules here. It's really up to you and what you feel looks best. I mean, yes, I'm giving you general guidelines that you could follow, but at the end of the day, it's your video, your creation. Rely on your instincts. Just don't forget to think about your viewer's point of view, Put yourself in their shoes and ask if your camera shot did a good job at presenting the clip. This is going to take practice, of course. Maybe some guidance would be nice. So, if you need help or inspiration, I suggest checking out how your favorite movies or your favorite animations handle their camera work. Perhaps look up a YouTuber who's got camera work you like and try to emulate their example. Anyways, let's get back to this. So, once you've figured out where you want to place your camera, use the plus and minus keys to adjust your position how you like. And there you have it, our final position. This should go without saying, but don't move your mouse. The next step is to hold this position and bring it back in time to the beginning of our clip. The only way to do this seamlessly is by using the command demo go to tick. So, without moving around, open your console, then enter the command demo go to tick, then the tick number you want to go to. I'll take a quick peek here to see which one it was. Right, 16,000. So it's demo go to tick 16,000, then 0 and 1. Go ahead and press enter and you'll be taken back to the beginning of the clip with our position intact. Pretty handy, right? Now we can finally start drawing our Campath. Press the 0 key to place your first Campath point. We need at least 4 points for the Campath to render, so don't touch that mouse yet. Press the equal key to resume the demo, then repeatedly press 0 so you have a total of at least 4 points. Keep doing this until the very end of the clip, whatever length you want. I just spam it, doesn't matter. And there you have it. You've completed your first Campath. Well done. Now you're free to press escape and move your mouse. Hey, one more thing I should mention. If you make a mistake, there is no undo button. Instead, you'll have to either use the command merv Campath clear, which will delete your entire Campath so you can start over, or you can use the command merv Campath remove, which will erase a single point you specify. So once you've completed your Campath, we can confirm that our Campath works by pressing J to draw it on the screen. You can get a good look at it with the Freecam. You can turn it off with K. Now, let's watch our Campath in action. First, we gotta rewind back to the beginning. And here, to enable the camera to start following our Campath, we must press the semicolon key. But if you set up my custom controls, you don't need to do this because it's enabled by default. However, if you're not using my controls, don't forget to enable the Campath, otherwise your camera won't show up. This is a common beginner's mistake, so don't forget to do it. Now we can watch our Campath by pressing play. So this makes sense, right? The Campath starts from the moment we created our first point, all the way to the very last point we placed. If you're happy with how it looks, this is a good place to save your work, if needed. Use the command merv campath save to save your Campath. If you made a Campath folder in your TF folder, like we discussed earlier, the file path will look like this. As for the file name, personally, I would follow this format. I'd include the name of the demo and the tick mark it starts on. It's helpful for organization. Remember, no spaces in your file names. If you get errors, you probably typed something wrong, or the folder path you typed doesn't exist. Once that's done, we're pretty much ready to record the clip. Just go back to the beginning, enable third person, start recording in OBS, and play the demo. But for me, there's one more major problem I need to take care of. I'm sure you've all noticed that the heavy became a pair of arms again. Whenever you finish taunting, you'll go back into first person. This cannot be avoided. You're going to have to quickly switch back into third person right after the taunt. There's a couple ways to do this. The first way is to spin the scroll wheel on your mouse to spam the third person command. If you're fast enough, you might record only 1 or 2 frames of the floating arms, maybe even 0. Then you can go into your editing software and remove any floating arm frames you may have caught. The second way is to use the command merv cmd add third person. This command allows you to automatically fire a third person command at any tick mark you like. So to demonstrate, let's move in slow motion and pause right after the heavy goes into first person. Right there. Now right here, we're going to use the merv cmd command to automatically send a third person command at this very moment in time. Okay, great. Now if we play it back, it's going to look almost like first person never happened. Perfect. Very useful tool. You can type merv cmd on its own to see what else it can do. Both the scroll wheel and the merv cmd method get the job done. It's up to you to decide which one you want to use. That's basically it. We're free to capture the entire clip with OBS. Start from the beginning. Enable third person. Hit record on OBS, then press play. If you're using the scroll wheel method, don't forget to spam it during the taunt. And that's how it's done. Moment recorded. For all the history books,